Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, our mission is to take a look inside a world that is incredibly complex, intensely regulated, and, well, absolutely vital to the global economy.
We're talking about the logistics of transporting hazardous materials.
Exactly. Everything from sterilized industrial acids to, certain components for medical devices.
And these are shipments where the stakes are.
Yeah.
They're existential. If you get the paperwork wrong, you're not just looking at a mild delay.
No.
You're looking at catastrophic safety risks, monumental fines, or even an environmental disaster. The whole system is designed to be cautious.
Which means the permit process has historically been painfully manual.
Painfully manual, yes.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And just think about the scale for a moment. You have every single material, every package size, every mode of transport, truck, rail, ship, air.
And every jurisdiction.
Right. Every single place you cross has its own set of rules. For so long, getting the necessary permits meant human compliance officers had to manually sift through, thousands of pages of guidelines?
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
And cross-reference all these different data points. It was a huge compliance bottleneck that slowed down commerce and, ironically, actually increased risk because of the high chance of human error.
That's what we're digging into today.
Yes, we've extracted the key insights on a major technological shift here. The use of artificial intelligence, specifically natural language processing, to automate and validate these permits.
Our deep dive today is really a shortcut for you to understand how this AI solution is achieving speed, safety, and compliance all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's start by framing the sheer size of the problem. What exactly are these permits demanding? What is the human compliance officer up against?
Well, these permits are fundamentally regulatory approvals. They are permission, granted by a governing body, to move material that poses some kind of inherent risk.
And to get that stamp of approval, you have to provide a deep evidentiary trail.
This is a good way to put it. You aren't just saying, hey, we're moving chemical X.
You have to specify the entire context of the movement.
Precisely. That means the specific hazard classification of the material, the exact type of packaging being used, all the required labeling,
The placards on the vehicle.
the carriers involved, the precise route planning, and, this is critical, their emergency response action plans. You submit all of that, and the regulatory body essentially verifies that you haven't missed one single detail that could compromise safety.
And the complexity, it isn't just the sheer volume of data you submit, right?
Yeah.
It's the fact that the rules governing it are a moving target based on geography.
That's the manual headache in a nutshell. I mean, imagine a multimodal shipment. Let's say a chemical compound that starts in Houston.
Okay.
It travels by truck across state lines. Then it gets loaded onto a vessel heading overseas. That one shipment has to satisfy U.S. domestic regulations,
State-level routing restrictions.
international maritime laws like the IMO, and then the specific rules of the receiving port.
And if a human is manually reviewing every single one of those data points, say, checking that a substance's concentration level matches the required packing group,
And then checking that packing group against the carrier's allowed routes.
the chance for a small, cascading error is almost guaranteed.
Absolutely. A mistake there, like using the wrong UN identification number or misclassifying a corrosive substance as merely irritating, that doesn't just mean a fine.
It means the whole emergency plan is useless.
Exactly. The entire response plan on file is useless if there's an incident. The manual process creates bottlenecks, inconsistency, and risk exposure. And that's why the industry started hunting for a solution.
A solution that could handle all this high-velocity, high-detail cross-referencing.
And that solution landed squarely on AI.
Okay, so let's shift focus to the tool itself, natural language processing, or NLP.
Mhm.
For someone who might only associate AI with, chatbots, what is NLP doing here to make sense of this mountain of technical paperwork?
So NLP is the subfield of AI that's focused on enabling machines to read, understand, and interpret human language.
So not just code, but actual text.
Actual text. And it's perfect here because the overwhelming majority of hazardous material data, the complex regulations, chemical specs, safety protocols, it all exists in unstructured text, in documents, PDFs, legal manuals.
So it's not just recognizing keywords, it's reading a sentence and understanding the regulatory meaning behind it.
You got it. When we talk about autofilling an application, we're talking about automation that goes far beyond a simple copy-paste. The NLP system is trained to identify and extract crucial structured data from all those unstructured source documents.
Can you walk us through a specific example? So when a logistics provider gets a new shipping request, what document does the AI tackle first?
The primary document is almost always the safety data sheet, or SDS.
Right.
These are mandatory, highly detailed forms for every chemical product. They can be, dozens of pages long, listing everything from physical properties and toxicology to transport regulations.
And traditionally, a compliance officer would have to read that entire STS and manually pull, say, the UN number, the proper shipping name, and the hazard labels.
And then type all of that data into the permit application form, one by one.
Recipe for error?
For sure. But the NLP system, it analyzes the SDS, it segments the text. It knows, based on its training, that the information under Section 14, labeled transport information, is where it's going to find the UN number and the packing group.
So it's not guessing.
Not at all. It extracts those precise data points, it validates them against its internal taxonomy, and then it uses that confirmed structured data to auto-populate the dozens of fields on the permit application.
And that is where you get the immediate efficiency gain. It ensures the data is accurate, it's up to date, and it's presented consistently across the entire suite of required documents.
Yes, it transforms hours of reading and typing into seconds of automated data transfer.
Which is incredible.
And that speed and accuracy in auto-population sets the stage for the next step, which is arguably even more critical, because filling out the form is easy compared to making sure every entry is actually legal.
Right. Okay, let's talk about that heavy lifting. Compliance validation. We've established the regulatory landscape is a labyrinth of international treaties, federal laws, state ordinances. How does an AI system manage that sheer variance?
This is where the AI truly acts as a global compliance expert.
Ah.
A human expert, they tend to specialize, right? They know maritime law or they know rail transport rules.
Sure, you can't know everything.
But the NLP-powered AI is trained on the entire codified body of hazardous materials regulation across every relevant jurisdiction.
So it's basically ingested thousands of regulatory texts all at once.
Precisely. And it uses advanced cross-checking algorithms. So once the application is auto-populated with data like the material classification and the proposed route, the system initiates a dynamic check against all the applicable rule sets.
Can you give us a concrete scenario? Let's say we're moving a specialized battery component lithium-ion
Okay.
by truck across 3 states, but the route passes through a major metropolitan area.
In that scenario, the AI performs what you could call a three-dimensional check. First, it verifies the battery's classification and packaging comply with federal standards, like those from the U.S. Department of Transportation.
DOT, sure.
Second, it checks against the regulations of the states being crossed. One state might have specific restrictions on the maximum quantity of lithium-ion batteries allowed on an interstate.
Or require special escorts or something.
Right. And the third dimension is the hyperlocal rules.
The city-level stuff.
Exactly. The AI uses geofencing data that's linked to its regulatory database. When it sees the route passing through that city center, it checks against municipal ordinances. Maybe the city prohibits transport of that hazard class through tunnels during peak hours.
Or mandates a specific detour.
The AI identifies that restriction instantly, and it flags the route planning as non-compliant.
That is the ultimate value proposition proactive flagging. The AI is essentially saying, the form is filled out correctly, but the contents violate the law for this route. Change the route or change the carrier.
It shifts compliance from being a reactive audit
Where you find out weeks later you were wrong.
to an instant advisory function. The AI gives you a detailed report, it lists the discrepancy, it cites the specific paragraph and regulation that was violated, and it lets the user make the corrections before they waste resources submitting a doomed application.
That has to dramatically shorten the approval cycle. And it avoids those massive losses tied to a permit rejection.
It does.
That level of detail and instant validation, it fundamentally changes the compliance officer's job. So let's talk about the workflow and efficiency gains. Beyond avoiding fines, what does this level of automated consistency do for the business?
Well, the consistency is paramount for safety, but the business benefits are immediate and clear. Just think about the time savings. We've seen traditional, complex permit applications that require days, sometimes weeks, of back and forth review.
Right.
AI can validate and generate a near-perfect application in minutes.
And the elimination of human error is now built into the process instead of relying on a final human gatekeeper who might be exhausted after reading their 5th SDS of the day.
Precisely. When the AI ensures consistent, proper material classification according to those strict regulatory standards, that's the foundation of safety. If the UN number is correct, then every subsequent safety step, from labeling to handling to emergency response, follows the correct protocol.
And the sources also point out that this isn't just software running on a single laptop, right? This is about system integration across the whole logistics ecosystem.
That's the critical efficiency gain. These AI systems are designed to integrate seamlessly with existing logistics management platforms, ERP systems, even carrier booking platforms.
It's all connected.
It allows for an automated data flow from the moment the material is manufactured right up to the submission of the permit. And in some forward-looking pilot programs, this integration is even facilitating automatic submission to regulatory platforms, further reducing friction.
So if you're a logistics operator, this isn't just about faster paperwork. It's about turning a necessary, costly, and resource-intensive compliance drag into a swift, automated function.
A function that guarantees lawful shipments and prevents those expensive delays at borders or ports.
That is a massive competitive advantage.
It absolutely is. It moves compliance into the realm of optimized operational efficiency.
Okay, now let's look ahead. This technology is already doing incredible things, but AI, as we know, evolves so quickly. What does the next generation of hazmat transport automation look like? What are the sources suggesting is just over the horizon?
We're moving beyond just validation to true integration and predictive intelligence. Future applications are going to expand into real-time compliance monitoring during transit.
Which means what exactly?
It means the AI system, integrated with GPS and telematics, is monitoring the shipment constantly against its permitted requirements.
While it's on the road.
Yes. If the shipment enters a zone where new restrictions apply, say a specific weather-sensitive route is suddenly closed, the system could instantly flag the deviation, alert the carrier, and provide pre-approved, compliant alternative routing in real time.
Wow, that is a huge leap in safety management.
It is. But the most forward-looking concept you mentioned is predictive compliance.
Yeah, how does AI predict the law? That sounds like science fiction.
It's highly advanced pattern recognition, but it's applied to regulatory behavior. So instead of waiting for a new environmental law about a specific chemical to be passed and implemented.
Which can take years.
Right. The AI is trained to ingest, track, and analyze early legislative indicators.
What kind of indicators are we talking about here?
Things like tracking proposed bills in parliaments, monitoring public comment periods on draft regulations, analyzing the minutes of international standards bodies like the UN.
Even tracking lobbying activity.
Exactly. By analyzing the velocity and direction of all these inputs, the system can project with high confidence that a new rule, for example, a mandatory change in inner packaging thickness for a specific solvent, will take effect 18 months from now.
That is profound. It lets these big multinational corporations stay ahead of the curve. They can adjust their supply chain, change their packaging procurement, update their procedures.
Far in advance of the law actually coming into force, and they completely mitigate the risk of a non-compliant disruption.
It shifts the entire compliance philosophy.
It does, from being perpetually reactive to being proactively optimized, and that saves businesses incredible amounts of time and money and ensures this flawless, continuous adherence to global regulation.
What an illuminating deep dive. We've covered how the complexity of hazmat permitting pretty much demands AI, how NLP uses documents like the safety data sheet for instant auto-population.
And how AI serves as the ultimate multi-jurisdictional compliance expert.
It really is a story of safety, efficiency, and intelligence converging in one of the most risk-sensitive areas of global logistics.
You now have a really solid understanding of how AI is transforming this formerly tedious, high-stakes compliance function into a streamlined, automated guarantee of lawful and safe transport.
And this brings us to our final thought for you to consider. We focused heavily on how AI helps businesses comply with current and future regulations. But if this technology is so adept at tracking, validating, and even predicting the need for new safety standards,
Which it clearly is.
consider the implications for governments themselves. How might regulatory bodies use these powerful AI systems, not just to enforce existing laws, but to actually draft and implement future safety standards, moving from the slow, reactive process of traditional legislation?
To a system of proactively optimized regulation designed by machine intelligence.
Exactly.
The idea of an AI-optimized regulatory framework, that's a compliance conversation for tomorrow.
You'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.